In today's video, we continue with Captain and his neuter. We will talk about the little problem we had with him and why we decided to neuter a dog even though it is over 10 years old, as well as why we will not be able to neuter Buster, who is also almost the same age, and that I will always regret not neuter him before. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Continuing where we left off the other day, I'm going to tell you how Captain's post-operative went, and it is that they sent us a lot of medicines. Well, as I said, he's a doggy of certain age, and in addition to that, as you may know, he is a dog with a special condition. Captain was rescued at the beginning of last year with his hind legs completely paralyzed. Thanks to your help, we bought him a customized wheelchair with which he began to recover a little of mobility. Then we began a physiotherapy process that turned out to be a total success, and Captain now runs, jumps, and plays like crazy. A miracle come true.
Have you ever met Miss Lindy? She's a gal with the bright red hair. Now she stands high from all the rest. You know her anywhere.
However, and because to neuter him, the dog has to lie completely on his back, a delicate position for him. Captain left the surgery room with some pain and walking not so well as he had been doing. So, to avoid that pain, we had to resume gabapentin, a medication that we had already been giving him before when starting physiotherapy, as well as arthritaps, which are pills that work very well with joint problems, arthritis, and dysplasias. But it is that, in addition to all that, we also had to give him an antibiotic for 5 days, and some probiotics. This was because something had come up badly in the blood test. Honestly, I don't remember exactly what it was, but they told us to watch his poop, and if it was soft, we took them some samples to analyze. Hence these little bottles that they also gave us. And well, before giving him all this load of medicines with each meal, we had to prepare that little stomach for such a bomb. So an hour before each meal, we had to give him half a sachet of Nexium diluted in 5 milliliters of water, which will serve as a stomach protector. So after preparing such an elaborate recipe, obviously seasoned with broth and chicken pieces, this gentleman didn't want to eat. And he didn't want to eat at all. There was no way, and of course, we just couldn't give him so many pills on an empty stomach. Because let's remember that Captain was fasting. In other words, he hadn't eaten since the night before. And to make it even worse, he ended up vomiting a little while later. So we had a post-operative period pretty complex. We put another bed for him, and Bonnie lay down with him to cheer him up a bit. The truth is that she is the sweetest dog, and she behaves wonderfully with all the doggies that pass through the house. In the end, he ate a little bit of our dinner, but we decided not to give him any medicine until the next day, since the antibiotic was not due yet because it comes with him injected from the surgery, and it was not necessary until the next morning. So we crossed the fingers so that he woke up with a little more appetite, and luckily for us, that is how it was. So we took advantage of it, giving him the antibiotic, the probiotic, the arthritaps, and the gabapentin. Captain swallowed them like a champion and earned Bonnie's congratulations, who came to give him a few congratulatory kisses. A week later, we took him back to the vet to have the stitches removed, and fortunately, the wound had healed very well, and there was no problem. We had left the antibiotic behind, although with the arthritaps and gabapentin, we had to continue for quite a while longer. And to prevent any situation with fleas or ticks, now that we are already entering the Costa Rican summer, we bought NexGuard for anyone in the house. Except Captain, who has to stick the pills down his throat, the rest of the pack ate them as if they were prizes. Fortunately, the captain's poops were always fine, so we didn't have to collect any samples, which is great, both for Captain, who felt good in his stomach, and for us, that we didn't have to handle his waste. You know, the wound was finishing healing perfectly, but everything did not go so well for us, and we had a setback that we did not expect at all. And about 10 days after the surgery, about 3 days after removing the stitches, Captain's scrotum, far from diminishing little by little, began to swell a lot. And from overnight, he had gotten like this. So we had to go back to the hospital, hoping it wasn't anything serious. After reviewing him, they told us that the inflammation could be due to the fact that Captain had not had enough rest. And it is true that Captain is a very dependent dog. He has to be where you are. He follows you everywhere around the house like a duckling. And here where we live right now, we are on a lower floor and we have to go upstairs for anything. And Captain always tried to climb the steps, which is not at all good for him. We usually carry him to go up and down, or we put something to block the stairs. But this guy is very persistent, and he also even jumping on the sofa. And the craziest thing is that he succeeds. It is surprising how capable this rascal now is. What a change he have had. So they sent us anti-inflammatories for 5 days, and we will check again to see how it was going. They told us that they hope that we'll resolve it, because otherwise we will have to resort to another not so simple surgery in which they will have to remove the entire scrotum. They told us that it was something complex because a lot of skin had to be recovered to be able to close it well and not to have complications. In addition to the always latent risk of subjecting an already older dog to relatively invasive surgery. So we begged life, anti-inflammatories work, and the swelling disappears. We were giving it him for 5 days, and effectively and fortunately, the swelling went down a lot. We took him back to the vet for one last check, and they told us that we better not continue giving him the anti-inflammatories because Captain had already a lot of medication, and that we let him finish deflating by himself. So at this point, we decide to take him back to Francine, where there is no stairs to go up and down, and where he will be able to rest better to finish recovering. In fact, in that, the swelling has continued to go down, and Captain is now perfectly. We took advantage of the visit to take some photos and videos of some of her kittens to help her put them up for adoption. Here we leave you some images of these precious little things. Captain is not a dog that can run away and get a dog pregnant, or at least he doesn't have it easy at all. But there are other reasons for neutering a dog, and that is that when they reach a certain age, they increase a lot the chances of developing diseases, which could well be avoided with neutering. Prostate problems, testicular tumors and cysts, anal tumors, that in males, because for females, the benefits of spaying are even more. Personally, I never neutered my doggy, Buster. I remember that I consulted a veterinarian when he was about 6 years old, but they told me that if the dog didn't have temperament problems, which he doesn't have them at all, and especially if he was not a dog that had free access to the street, which was not the case either, it did not have to be necessary to neuter him, because also being a beagle who has an infinite appetite and is very easy to them to gain weight, it could be more difficult to control his weight, since a neuter dog tends to increase his appetite and decrease his metabolism. However, now I regret not having neutered him at that time, because what they did not inform me that day was the risks that they can be avoided by neutering. And now, Buster has presented certain respiratory problems that have been a problem for the surgery, because in fact, I was thinking of neuter him along with Captain, but at the hospital they told me that as a result of the respiratory problems he presented a few weeks ago, Buster will now be a risk patient due to the sedation to which he must be subjected, and they recommended a laryngoscopy beforehand to see if we could find out what the problem was. However, to perform the laryngoscopy, he has to be sedated. So, if it's risky to sedate him because he has respiratory problems, and the recommendation is to sedate him to see what respiratory problems he presents, I'm simply not going to subject him to that unless it is absolutely necessary, because those respiratory attacks only last a few days. After the treatment they gave me, it hasn't happened again, and he's doing fine. So now I have a strong dilemma, and I don't really know how to act, because as I say, Buster hasn't had the respiratory problem again, but now I've been scared at the hospital and I don't know how to handle it. So the bottom line here is neuter or spay your dog while it is young, if possible between 7 months and the first year of age, and you will avoid yourself, and above all you will also avoid your pet, many problems. Thank you very much for joining us in one more video. Remember that you can also follow us on our Instagram, IDoCareCR. I hope you liked the video. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you like what we do. And if so, I'll leave you here a couple of videos that probably you will like them too. I send you a big hug and see you very soon.